Are you really wanting to improve your heart health, but feel lost on what to do? All you've been told by the doctor is to change your diet, but which one and how? There seem to be so many different ways of eating nowadays. So can a vegan diet or a plant-based one really help drop blood lipids, lower your risk of a heart attack, and give you more time with loved ones? Let's find out on today's podcast. In this episode, we'll see how effective a vegan or whole food plant-based diet can be, and I'll share the experience of some from my community with you too. So grab a hot cup of tea or a green smoothie and join me on the inside. Welcome to the Plant-Based Eating Made Easy podcast. I'm your host, Anna Zinn, plant-based registered dietitian and transition coach. Hi friend. Do you want to regain your health with plant-based eating but feel overwhelmed and lost about how to do it? Do you feel it'll be hard to change your meat-heavy diet and impossible with working, running the home, or chasing after the grandkids? If so, you're in the right place. Here you'll find simple strategies, clear nutrition guidance, and practical tips to help you thrive plant-powered with more energy. So if you're ready to ditch the guesswork and transform your health the stress-free way, cozy up now with a hot cup of tea or listen while you walk, and let me show you how doable plant-based eating can be. Let's do this. Hi, friend. Are you tired of taking meds, and more meds? If you're already dealing with multiple health conditions like hormone issues, diabetes, and high blood pressure, getting another diagnosis and more prescription pills can be the last thing you want. Yet now your doctor is warning you about your high cholesterol levels and wanting to put you on statin drugs. That feels pretty depressing and defeating, doesn't it? Even though I don't currently have hypertension or heart issues, I have had gestational diabetes and also know what it's like to take multiple meds daily. In fact, at one point in my life, I was taking 7 pills a day just to manage one specific skin condition. It felt like meds ruled my life then, and that I needed to keep my medication schedule front of mind so I wouldn't forget to take them, or I would have to deal with a flare-up over my whole body. So friend, if you're feeling that same constant sense of worry and anxiousness over your health, and that you're under a heavy health burden, I want to help. Reach out to me at healthnow@plantnourish.com or see the contact options in the show notes. Let's get you on the road to better health, less meds, and more time with loved ones. Now let's talk specifically about lipid levels and plant-based eating. In preparing this episode, I was reminded of a previous podcast guest I had interviewed, Susan. Susan had been dealing with borderline high cholesterol for most of her life, so much so that she thought it was just in her genes. But it got to a point where her cholesterol levels continued to rise and her triglyceride levels went off the charts, even though she was eating a pretty healthy regular diet. Her doctor got alarmed as well and even called her a walking heart attack and suggested she start statin meds. You can imagine the stress and worry on her mind. Maybe that's the same situation you're in and the reason you're now exploring plant-based eating. You're wondering, can it really lower total cholesterol and LDL cholesterol levels naturally? To answer this question, let's look first at a recent study published in the European Heart Journal. This 2023 study was a meta-analysis and systematic review conducted by Caroline Koch and colleagues. These researchers wanted to gauge the effect of vegetarian and vegan diets on blood lipids of total cholesterol, low-density lipoprotein cholesterol, or LDL cholesterol, triglycerides, and apolipoprotein B. After screening 369 relevant studies published between 1980 and October 2022, 30 randomized controlled trials were selected for the formal analysis. This is significant because randomized controlled trials, or RCTs, are considered one of the more rigorous study designs, since it often calls for subjects in a study to be randomly assigned to either an intervention group or a control group to minimize bias. So what were the results? Although no significant changes were seen for triglyceride levels from the meta-analysis between those on an omnivorous diet and those on vegetarian and vegan diets, there were noticeable differences observed for the other study parameters of interest. The meta-analysis showed that participants in these studies following a vegan or vegetarian diet did have lower total cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, and apolipoprotein B levels than the participants following a regular omnivorous diet. For example, the mean difference in total cholesterol between the two groups was negative 0.34 millimoles per liter, or negative 13.1 milligrams per deciliter. And the mean difference in LDL cholesterol was negative 0.30 millimoles per liter, or negative 11.6 milligrams per deciliter. That's quite a difference. In the study publication, the researchers wrote that vegetarian and vegan diets were associated with reduced concentrations of total cholesterol, low-density lipoprotein cholesterol, and apolipoprotein B, effects that were consistent across various study and participant characteristics. They also stated that our findings illustrate that lipid profiles improve when following a plant-based diet. I think that's encouraging to know that this meta-analysis of randomized control trials is showing that those on a vegan or vegetarian diet can expect to enjoy lower lipid levels. Does this pan out in real life, though? It would appear to be so in the majority of cases I've seen. In my interview guest Susan's example, her total cholesterol levels went from 302 to 222 within just 3 weeks of being on a plant-based diet. And her triglycerides also dropped drastically from being off the charts to now being low. If you would like to hear more of Susan's story and the other remarkable changes she's had, listen to episodes 90 and 91 on this podcast, which were aired earlier this spring. I will also link these episodes for you in the show notes. Recently, I also heard from a Plant Power Life Transformation course student of mine. She sent me a message to share with me that her total cholesterol level, which was previously at 225, has since dropped to 154 due to, in her words, plant-based and eating and drinking the correct foods. I knew she had been struggling with high cholesterol for a long time, so I was ecstatic to hear about this positive change in her health. So today we looked at the question, can vegan and plant-based diets lower cholesterol and LDL lipid levels? From the results of a recent meta-analysis and systematic review published on randomized controlled trials, this does appear to be the case. I also shared a few real-life examples of positive changes in lipid levels from within my community, of those who have moved to plant-based eating and saw natural improvements in their blood lipids. I want the same for you, my friend. Would you consider giving plant-based eating a try if you haven't started it yet? After all, what have you got to lose? At the least, treat it as an experiment on your body for 90 days and see what the changes could be health-wise for you. I think you would be pleasantly surprised. Remember, my friend, I'm cheering you on. Thank you for listening to the Plant-Based Eating Made Easy podcast. If this podcast has helped you, please rate and leave a written review on the Apple Podcast app or iTunes to let me know. Nothing will lift me up more than to read your review and see how this podcast has made a difference in your life. I also pick reviews to read on this show, so your review could be one of them. Come connect with me in my free Facebook community group, Beginners for Plant-Based Diet Success. Just go to bit.ly/pb Diet Success. That's bit.ly/pb Diet Success. You can also subscribe and follow this podcast to get notified when a new episode goes live. Signing off now, this is Anna, and I wish you the best health always.